strange. Vice Mayor Strange, you'll address her properly. You can kiss my foot. Mr. Lincoln, you're out of order.
FBI, we are asking you to investigate this council. Please look into this council, how they award contracts, the bid process, how they use their positions to benefit their friends and themselves, how they use their positions to attack residents and critics and neighbors and business competition. FBI, will you please look into this?
And I welcome the FBI here. If you notice, Mr. Thompson, with his plea for the FBI and his watchdog group, this city runs the cleanest in this whole county. I guarantee
He was served a federal subpoena this morning.
We did receive a subpoena this morning, and we're going to cooperate 100% with the subpoena.
And most of you who were involved up here, you gaslighted me. You tried to say I was crazy. And now we know that that's not true. And there's a lot of other issues I've been asking about as well.
Well, this is probably going to be the biggest show I've ever done. I mean, it's probably going to be the biggest one ever. So you talk about watchdog alerts. I got two of the biggest watchdog alerts ever tonight. And you'll see and hear them. Now, if you trust me, please make sure some other people hear about it. And that's how you can do it. If you want your friends to see this, tag and share. It's going to be worth it. You're not going to believe what's going to happen. So we're still talking about Popeye Park because the FBI is investigating it and because it's a whistleblower lawsuit and because the city's lying about it. The city's absolutely lying about it. You want proof? The city gave the FBI an altered copy of the plat. Now, the plat is, and the plat alone, is the governing document forever on that piece of land about how property is to be conveyed. And that's the document that was altered. I'm going to show it to you. Also, they must be getting paranoid in Panama City Beach because tonight you're going to hear a bunch of employees be told they have to sign and take a loyalty oath with a notary public, or else they don't get paid. They were absolutely coerced to take a loyalty oath. They were told that it's the law. Is it? We're going to find out. Somebody on the thread earlier today said, yeah, big deal forcing employees to take an oath to the Constitution. Get with it, pal. And then he posted the 2020 Florida statute that requires government employees to take the oath of loyalty. Is that true? I'll fix that comment after we take a look at the altered document that the city gave the FBI in January. All right, here we go. So the plat, remember, is of this property. That right there was designated a boat launching area in the plat, and it was dedicated in 1962 to the owners in the subdivision in Lowwater. Now, right to the side there, not across the street, but the closest house there, that's Mayor Mike Pay-to-Play Thomas's son's home. And so Mayor Thomas said, we got to spend about 50 grand and build a park, a playground, right, over that boatyard that was dedicated by developer Sam B. Hearn to the owners in the subdivision. And they knew in April of 2019, certainly in June 2019, that it was not theirs. It was private property. But what the hell? They've gotten away with it for how long? Now, this is the plat. This is the true and correct plat. And you can see that Sam B. Hearn and his corporation, who owned that land in what's called a fee simple title, which is the highest title you can have, right? He dedicated Lowwater Lake, read it, this is important, this is really important that you see this part, as well as all the lakes and parts of lakes. This is the part they took out, and parks and boat launching area, because if they had handed that over, then the FBI wouldn't have to work so hard. But then the FBI could say, wait a minute, the boat launching area, that's where you put Popeye Park. That's where you put the playground. But please notice right in the center, parks and boat launching area. This is the version. This is the copy of the plat. Now, plats are big and they're kept in government quarters, right, in the halls of records, in those areas. It kind of reminds me of Chinatown. Every time I think about the halls of records, there's a great scene in Chinatown, the great movie Chinatown, about that. Jack Nicholson walks in. Oh, it's great. But see if you can find parks and boat launching area in the copy of the plat that was given to the FBI by the city in January. Here it is. Boom. Well, look at that. Dedicates Lowwater Lake as well as all the lakes and parts of lakes and parks and boat launching area. What the hell? Where did that go? Where'd that go? At parks and boat launching area. There it is, right in the middle. Where'd it go? Now you see it. Now you don't. Wow. So these are the notes of City Attorney Amy Myers. And you know what's really interesting? Can I tell you what's really interesting? Maybe it was a mistake, right? Maybe they just transcribed it wrong. The only thing is, when you transcribe something, it doesn't look exactly like the 1962 text, does it? Want to see something else amazing? Look at the second line where it says owner in fee simple, right? The owner is Hearn, the corporation there. Sam B. Hearn and his Hearn and Coran Corporation. That's the owner of all the land. This is just part of it where he dedicates the parks and the lake and the boat launching area to the owners in the subdivision. But watch the word owner. Second line, watch the word owner. Owners? Well, hell, the copy of the plat that the city gave the FBI in January says it's plural. You see that? Singular in the real, true, and correct plat, plural. Now, how the hell did that happen? See, in 1962, what Sam Hearn did is he rededicated this land because in 1957, there was a different plat earlier. 5 years before that, there was the El Centro plat. So actually, if you look at the true and correct copy of the plat, look at the line right below owner. To be served, the land to be surveyed, re-subdivided, and replatted, right? Because this is the 1962, the new plat, the Diamond Head plat. And it's replacing certain parts of the 1957 plat. So this is re-subdividing and replatting. But look at the copy that the city gave the FBI. It just says subdivided and platted as though it's the first time. But the real one, right below owner, says re-subdivided and replatted. Well, that's a big difference. Maybe they just transcribed it wrong in the same exact kind of writing they used in 1962. It could happen to anybody, I suppose. The three biggest changes to the copy of the plat, which is like the constitution of the land, that the city gave to the FBI. These are Amy Myers' notes. She's a city attorney. She's smarter than I am, smarter than you are. She's real smart, actually. And pretty nice, too. Pretty nice person. I can't say the same for Cole Davis, but Amy's really nice. But I mean, how the hell did this happen? the city changed the owner to plural. See that? Owners. Changed, re-subdivided, and replatted just to subdivided and platted as though it was the first time in 1962. And the craziest part of all is that the city wants, more than anything, the city wants the parks. There are 4 lots, 3 lots, and 1 boat launching area that's now Mayor Mike Thomas's playground for his kids. Right? So there's 4 pieces of property in this area that are called, 3 are parks, 1's a boat launching area. Those are the ones that the city wants, right? So the city gives to the FBI a copy of the plat, but it leaves that part out so that the owners can't say it's theirs because it's not in the plat. It wasn't dedicated. Not in the fake copy, but in the true and correct copy, it sure does. Right in the middle, parks and boat launching area. Now, isn't that something? What would happen to you if you gave the FBI an altered document that's being used as evidence in an investigation of public corruption after this is in January? They subpoenaed all of them in February. This is the real one. This is the real one. This is the altered one. Boy, the city really wants these. The city really wants these parks, don't they? And they really want the boat launching area not to have been dedicated to the owners in the subdivision, but it was. What you're seeing now is an unbelievable cover-up. How many co-conspirators are there? At this point, tonight anyway, probably earlier, every council member and Mayor Sheldon now knows that the copy of the plat they had was wrong, altered. How the hell do you alter this, by the way? Tell me if I'm right. It seems to me that if you're going to alter a copy of this, right? Like, for example, take a look at owner. It's supposed to say owner, right? Just single. It's Sam B. Hearn's big giant piece of land, and he's dedicating parts of it to different people. Look at owner and watch the S come in. Owners. Well, hell, that almost looks like the S was added in there. See that? Really, the plat, the owner. But the city says there were lots of owners, or at least 2. See, that's kind of strange, isn't it? And then if you take a look at where it says at the bottom red line, okay, that's the city's version. Let's take a look at the city says, because they don't want the lake, right? It dedicates low water lake as well as all the lakes and parts of lakes. And then it says within the boundary of this plat. You want to know something crazy? Within the boundary of this plat was never, ever in the original true and correct plat. Watch, right after it says lakes and parts of lakes, it does not say within the boundary of the plat. This is the real one. See up there? It's the second line from the bottom. As all the lakes and parts of lakes, now it's supposed to say within the boundary of the plat, according to the city, but no, the true and correct copy says and parks and boat launching area. This document was altered. Am I seeing things? That there is altered. And that was given to the FBI by Panama City Beach. And I don't hear one single official. I don't hear the mayor saying we got a problem here. We need to correct. We want some public trust. There was something about public trust. Do you know who the council member is for this area? It's Vice Mayor Jeff McConnell. Vice Mayor Jeff McConnell still running around telling people, he's still running around lying and telling people that the owners own the lake because they don't want to take care of the lake. They already choked the lake out and killed a dune lake. They killed a dune lake. And now it's infested with lily pads and they don't want to do anything about it. So Jeff says, yeah, they own the lake, but we own the 3 parks and we own the boat launching area. Well, Jeff, now that you know that the true and correct plat is different than the one you guys handed in. Jeff's the kind of guy too, McConnell. He'll say, I didn't hand it in. I didn't hand it in. That was Amy. Every one of them know what's going on. And tomorrow morning is a meeting. 9 a.m. I'll be there. 9 a.m. is a Panama City Beach City Council meeting. And they're all going to sit up there and pretend that they're there to make our lives better. That they're going to do an outflow project and take stormwater, and we'll never have stormwater again. No more flooding, right? You know why? They want those parks because they're going to dig under them with a giant pipe and take stormwater, run it through low water lake underneath and into the Gulf. Now, this is happening. This is all happening. And they've even lied to Governor Ron DeSantis about this. Governor Ron DeSantis thinks this is a good idea, and so would you, and so would I. There are 412 cities in Florida. He can't know the corruption in every city. He's got to trust these people a little bit. Only problem is Panama City Beach is untrustworthy from top to bottom. Not a single statesman has stood up and said this is wrong. Not a single statesman. They're all co-conspirators. Am I right or wrong? So that brings us to today. Today, well, let me explain. Part of the reason that City Attorney Tony O'Rourke was fired is because he wrote this memo to the mayor and to every member of the city council. And it was on February 10. Let me see if I can find this letter here. This is basically his whistleblower letter. He said, look, I found a lot of corruption. Here it is. It says, I found all this corruption. Look at that. This is on February 11 was when it was received. All right. He was fired that day. That was a Thursday. The city manager got fired earlier this year, the one honest man, when he said Popeye Park received $50,000 and it's private. And everybody knew it. Look, read that. It's exactly what I've been saying. The city fired him for telling the truth. Mark Sheldon led that charge. And then Mark Sheldon led the FACACTA investigation. You talk about trying to do a big time cover up. I don't think it's going to work. They better get better at altering documents. So one of the reasons that Tony O'Rourke was fired, is because we all know that there's a federal investigation in Panama City Beach. How do we know? There was a massive, wide, sweeping subpoena. And every single council member and every single mayor since 2016 and every department head, they were all ensnared in that subpoena. They all have to comply with the subpoena. And a lot of it has to do with Popeye Park. They got their phones searched and everything. So there's an investigation. And what city manager Tony O'Rourke did was, if the FBI wanted to, because he's the boss of the city manager runs city, supposed to be, when you have an actual city manager and not a puppet. So he was allowing the FBI to talk to whoever they wanted to talk to, active investigation. We're open, we're transparent. Well, Mayor Mark Sheldon was having a heart attack about all that. Mayor Mark Sheldon and Cole Son Davis, the attorney, and Vice Mayor Jeff McConnell. Still curious how many text messages and phone calls he had with everybody. None of them will say. I mean, eventually we'll know. It's still not too late, Jeff, to come clean. It's still not too late, Phil, Paul. Maybe for Mark and Jeff it is, but I mean, anyway, yeah, at some point, even if it's to save your own ass, but geez, you ought to just be a statesman and live up to what you guys say when you run for office. So Tony O'Rourke gets fired because the attorneys wanted to sit in with the employees. Now let me ask you this: if there's an FBI investigation and the agent wants to come in and speak to, a department head, Do you think the department head is likely to speak honestly with the FBI agent, which he has to or she has to? If the city attorney is sitting in there, writing notes about everything you say and then running back to the mayor, and you know what Tony O'Rourke's answer was? You guys are subjects of the investigation. You're not sitting in there. Colson Davis, Mayor Thomas, you are all Mayor Thomas, yeah, and Mayor Sheldon, you're all subjects of the investigation. So no, you're not sitting in there. That's why they fired him. So now they're still afraid. They're still afraid that employees will talk to the FBI. So they decided that we'll have a loyalty oath. Today they issued a loyalty oath. Oh my God, you're not going to believe this. First of all, let me show you the loyalty oath. It looks like this. Now that's not the loyalty oath. Gosh, I don't think that's actually the city charter, which is going to come into play in a second. So I didn't upload the loyalty oath, damn it. But I will. I mean, I'll do it as soon as the show's over. It's a piece of paper and it says loyalty oath. All right. That's how I knew it was one. I mean, I'm on it. So it says loyalty oath. And this morning, when workers went into Panama City Beach, they were met by at least one department head. She runs HR. And her name is Lori. And she got all of the employees together and said, look, we really need to have you sign a loyalty oath, an oath of loyalty. Do you want to hear it? I'll let you hear it. This is what it sounded like. So it starts off this way. You'll hear her talking to the employees and explaining what all of this is about. Here we go.
I have made a mistake and we are not compliant with the Florida statutes, and my legal staff has gotten on me and said, Lori, you've got to get these forms signed. As employees, now I'm gonna walk through these forms with you. I'm gonna tell you what every word means. I want you to hopefully have confidence that there's nothing more than what's on this form for us becoming compliant. Okay. As public employees that work for a government, we receive public funding, and we receive taxpayer dollars in our paycheck. Does anyone have any questions about that? The city gets its money from the 1% sales tax that comes from the public. Okay, so as people who receive public funds in their paycheck, we are legally required to follow this Florida statute. If you do not believe me that this Florida statute exists, I can provide you a website that is a public website where you can go look up this exact wording. It's called Municode.
Okay. All right. So it's called Municode, she says. Now, she says, and this is kind of weird. Could you imagine your boss saying you have to sign a loyalty oath and is defensive about it? If you don't believe me, just look on the state statutes making us do it. And the exact wording of you can go to Municode and type in loyalty oath, and you will find where it says you have to sign a loyalty oath. Well, let's test her theory. Here's what she's talking about. This is the city charter. Okay, it's on Municode. It's weird. See, it says MC up there, Panama City Beach. Now, I searched, look up there. I searched for loyalty. She said you can search for loyalty oath and it'll just pop right up. Well, in the entire city charter, which is like the city's constitution, only one time did loyalty pop up. And here's what it says. It's about transportation and tourists. It says transportation systems have geometrically expanded destination tourists, undermine the loyalty of individual tourists to a particular destination, and made the industry as a whole extremely competitive. Now, that doesn't have anything to do with a loyalty oath. There's nothing in the city charter. Now, so I looked up the word oath in the city charter. Now, there were a few of these that popped up. Okay. So it talks about the oath required of persons on payroll. So there's a new 2020 law, Florida Statute 876.05. Here's where they think they're right. Actually, here's where they're trying to trick you. They know. Some know it's right, like Cole Son Davis and Amy and Mark Sheldon. But I don't think Lori knows. She kept confusing a local ordinance and Muni code with the state statute. She doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. But she sounds really authoritative, doesn't she? Could you imagine working for her? So let's take a look at Florida Statute 876.05. Maybe we'll find the loyalty oath there. Now, here it is. All right. I didn't know about this. Public employees have to take an oath. Let's see. Let's find loyalty anywhere. Loyalty oath. All persons who now or hereafter are employed by or now or hereafter are on the payroll of the state or any of its departments and agencies, subdivisions and counties, cities, school boards, districts of the free public school system, and the state or counties or institutions of higher learning, except candidates for federal office, are required to take an oath before any person duly authorized to take acknowledgments of instruments for public record for the state in the following form. So that would be like a notary public, right? All right, so here's the actual, I didn't see loyalty oath though. I don't see loyalty oath, but here's what they had to say. I, as a citizen of the state of Florida and of the United States of America, and being employed by or an officer of and a recipient of public funds, as such employee or officer, do hereby solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Florida. Still, I don't see a loyalty oath. I see something that looks a hell of a lot like a oath of office, which I'm very proud to have taken. I was an Air Force captain. I'm proud to take an oath of office, but I'm not taking any damn loyalty oath. But it's the same words, Bernie. It's the same words. Stay with me. And then this oath will be documented. You have to say it. It'll be documented with records for the governing official, right? So you actually do have to say this. And I don't have a problem with that. I want, if you get elected or if you're an officer of the city, you take an oath of office. I think employees take an oath of office too, to uphold to support the Constitution. That's one thing. But I've never in my life known anybody who is proud to have taken the oath in law enforcement, in the military. None of us call it a loyalty oath. Now, the department head, Lori, actually does call it a loyalty oath. She said you can search loyalty oath and find it in the charter, but she got that confused with the state statute. But she sure sounded like she knew what she was talking about. I'm going to let you hear a little bit more of what she told everybody. She's going to explain to them, see? She says later on, I know it sounds shady or something. She's some word like that. But this is just saying that you support the Constitution. It's a loyalty oath. Just search it. You can find it anywhere. It's a loyalty oath. Everybody takes a loyalty oath. Now, let me ask you, if you served in the U.S. military, as I did, do you tell people you took a loyalty oath? That to me just rings of the countries that I don't know, searching for a word. I'm thinking for a word. Oh, that we fought, that we defeated. That's what it is. They had loyalty oaths. We have oaths of office to support the Constitution, the supreme law of the land. The oldest liberty charter in the world. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of my country. I'm ashamed of my governments, but I'm proud as hell of the country. I'm worried about the people lately. But so let's go back. Are you with me? So understand there's nothing in the city charter that there's no loyalty oath that you can search like she's talking about. In the Florida statutes, there's no loyalty oath. There's an oath of office that now applies to the workers too. Good. There's a reference to that in city charter because cities have to follow state statute. Okay. Let's hear a little bit more of what the employees were. Now understand this. You say, Bernie, what's wrong with that? I'll tell you what's wrong with that. At a time where you have employees in Panama City Beach who know, because they see their bosses are crooked as all get out, they see corruption, but they can't talk about it, or they'll get fired too, as they've seen many times. They know the FBI wants to talk to them maybe, and they know the city doesn't want them to. So they come in today. They just now realize they got to follow the law that was in 2020. Just today, the day after I found out that they gave a document of the plat, a copy of the plat that was altered to the FBI. The day after that, they've got to take loyalty oaths. Forgive me if I think they're full of it. The meeting's tomorrow, by the way, at 9 a.m. What do they say about the plat, the copy of the plat? Well, we just retranscribed it is all in the same damn 1962 type that looks like a. All right, so here's how the rest of this went. So the loyalty oath. Remember, she says you can find it anywhere, right? I mean, you can find it. Just look it up. It's in Municode. It's in Municode. If you don't believe me, well, we don't believe you, Lori. We don't believe you. And as authoritative as you sounded, you were wrong. You owe those people an apology. Do you know what she told them? Some of them said, well, how long do we have to make a decision here? You know, I don't know what a loyalty oath. She said, you got 10 minutes or you don't get paid. The boss coerced the workers into signing a loyalty oath. She told them in a very authoritative way that it's the law, that the city's not making you do it. The state is. We just have to comply. See, my staff, my legal team, that's what she called the city attorney, my legal staff, they notified me that I've been making a mistake. No, I think you guys are just trying to cover your ass, and it's not working. You ought to stop digging and maybe start soul searching. That'd be my first recommendation. Stop using people. Stop trying to manipulate everybody and do some soul searching. Can I get an amen? All right, take a look at this. This is what she did. This is the rest of what she told them, just a little bit. All right, let's figure this out here. All right, here she is. I queued it up so you can hear her again say, if you don't believe me, you can just search for it. It's right there. Dummies. That's the only word she left out. All right, here we go. Gosh, I hope I did this right. Here you go.
We are legally required to follow this Florida statute. If you do not believe me that this Florida statute exists, I can provide you a website that is a public website where you can go look up this exact wording. It's called Municode, and every single city in the state of Florida has their own Municode, okay? So this is on Municode. You can look under Panama City Beach, and you can actually search for the oath of loyalty, and it will have this exact wording. I pulled it right out of the statutes. This is simply a compliance activity. If you were to work for the city of Panama City, the county, Callaway, any other municipality where employees receive public funding as forms of payment, you would have to sign this to be compliant with Florida statute. Okay, that is all we are doing today. We are trying to become compliant for legal. In the Florida statute, it says this must be signed in front of a notary. Okay, Leah is here. She is a notary. She also is going to read it. Technically, you're supposed to take this oath in front of the notary as well. So she is going to read it out loud and have you repeat back to her.
All right. She's going to read out loud. You got to repeat it. Now, not everybody was repeating it, and she was getting upset. Those of you who didn't say it, this loyalty oath that you can find if you just do a little simple search online, Did you hear when she said, that's where she got it? I just pulled it right off the statutes. That's where I got it. You did not. You did not, Lori. You didn't pull it off Muni Code. You might have pulled the wording off the state statute. The actual oath of office is what it's called. It's not called a loyalty oath. How many of you think that really this is about scaring employees? You signed a loyalty oath. Now, here's what I would say. If you were forced to sign something that said loyalty oath to the city and they made you say it out loud and then they notarized it, if I were you, I'd go back and I'd go to the city manager. The new city manager is Drew Whitman. He's the boss of the city. Say, hey, city manager. That's a higher title than chief. I always want to call him chief out of respect. But city manager is a higher title. City manager, I have some concerns. You took an oath of office, and I know you're proud of it, in the military and as a chief and in the police force. Well, I'm happy to take an oath of office, but I don't want to take a loyalty oath. Can we please have, I'll do it all, but I want it to say oath of office or oath of employment, because they might say, well, you're not an officer of the city. You're right. I'm just a hard worker, right? I was in the Air Force. The sergeants were the ones who kicked ass, right? So, but they didn't get all the credit they deserved. It's kind of the same way. Hey, city manager Drew Whitman, if I don't think he wouldn't watch something like this, but if he did, would you please consider taking oath of loyalty off of that paper? Just put oath of office, oath of employment, right? We believe in the Constitution. We believe in goodness and what's right. Everybody will sign that. But it sort of is intimidating. And how did none of you, city manager Drew Whitman, how did none of you say that sounds like some commie Bolshevik, right? It doesn't look like anything I want on my papers around here. Come on, guys. I'll be there in the morning. I'll be there at 9 a.m. Gonna make me ask these damn questions again there? I cannot believe what you guys are doing. All right, I need to wrap it up because this is just, you know what else? Can I just, before I jump out, here's what gets me. If you'll allow me, here's what gets me really. All the news outlets know this. Would you say these are big stories? The city gives an altered document of the plat, an altered copy of the plat to the FBI. Big story or not big story? Front page, top of the fold, or no? WMDB still lying to you, telling you that they've never corrected the story. They're still standing by PCB owns that lot. But here's what gets me. I'm a journalist, got a master's degree in journalism. It's my craft. I love it. I'm a commentator and a watchdog, still falls under the big umbrella of journalism. I'm not an anchor. I'm not a news reporter. I'm not a cartoonist. Those are all journalists. But we still have a code of ethics. See, it used to be that before news outlets became public-private partners, meaning the TDC pays them a boatload of money, the mayor pays them a boatload of money because he owns the Gulf Coast Jam, and he gets $735,000 a year to market it and won't tell us how much he actually spends. So when they start paying a lot of advertising money to the news outlets, they stop doing reporting and they start doing PR work for them. See, there was a time in journalism. This is what is just, oh man, you should be inside me right now. Feel this. Talk about a knot in my stomach. It used to be that in my craft, news outlets were embarrassed if another news outlet scooped them. I just scooped them. The biggest story. Big story anyway. They don't care. They won't even tell you. There's no competitive nature inside of these news outlets saying, we got to be the first to get the story. That's what journalism is, to be a watchdog of power. And normally we're talking government power, but not only. I mean, am I speaking Greek? I almost said Chinese, but I'm not getting in trouble. Now, Swahili. So that gets me. But here's what else gets me, if you don't mind. Everybody's going to blow up. Not everybody. A lot of people, thank God, are going to blow up Facebook and say, in capital letters even, look at this corruption. But I'll bet you that tomorrow, 9 a.m., and I know we got to work, we got kids, we got all those things. I know that there will only be a smattering of concerned citizens saying, what the? Come on, guys. A loyalty oath, really? Documents that have been altered. What? Just tell us what's going on with that. And, we got some questions here. But there'll be a smattering of people. And I, again, will feel like a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs while Jeff McConnell glares at me. He always glares at me when I walk in. He just does this thing, he just looks at you. But then once I go up there, he doesn't look up. Oh, geez. I have a feeling that local politicians would straighten their asses up if 100 people showed up at the meetings and said, you guys are going to dig underneath the Gulf, the rocks of the Gulf, right behind low water lake. You're going to dig under the rocks of the Gulf and run a pipe 1,000 or 1,500 yards out there and dump stormwater out there. And the consultants you gave $1 million to said that it'll create a dead zone. And you're lying and saying that you own these properties. By the way, the city and the property appraiser are no longer lying about we own these properties. Jeff McConnell still is, but the rest of them aren't. WMBB still is holding on. So you know what they're saying now? The property appraiser who altered the documents, he changed them back though. Dan Soul changed them back. He said, man, from here on out, my name's Bennett and I ain't in it. Stop asking me to do stuff. So I think it's a direct quote from Dan Sowell. Good move, Dan. Get those documents right, man. Don't just do what they tell you. Not anymore. Not now. Now they say that we're going to let a court decide who owns it. Hey, dumbasses. Who owns it is the person with the deed. The person with the deed of conveyance. They have the title. They're the owner. It's very clear. And every one of you know it. You want to know? Can I show you how I know they know that the parks belong to the people? Watch this. Watch this. This is a draft letter that city attorney Amy Myers wrote to the residents. Oh my God, this is unbelievable. And this was in September of last year. They were about to actually tell the truth, but then they decided to start playing games. Look at this letter. How about that? This is what the city says. All right. They're going to go to court and they're going to ask a judge to decide. But this is what the city was saying in September. This is how dishonest these people are. Based on our review of public records, like, the plat, these properties have not been dedicated to the city for public use. And as such, the city has no property interest or authority to exercise in order to maintain these properties. Which properties? Well, the parks too. According to the plats establishing these parks, the parks were dedicated to the owners. Well, that's what I've been saying, Amy. That's what I've been saying, Dan Sowell. That's what I've been saying, Jeff McConnell, that's his ward, and he doesn't know. You see that? Look right there. These parks were dedicated to the owners. Where was it dedicated to the owners? In the correct and real plat. Look in the middle. The parks and boat launching area. The boat launching area was paved over by the playground for former Mayor Mike Pay-to-Play Thomas, so his grandkids could have a place to play. They live next door. All right, that's the real and correct and true plat. But you see right in the middle, parks and boat launching area, they're missing from the altered copy of the plat that the city gave the FBI in January. Okay. Are we all caught up on this? Biggest story I can imagine right now. And WMBB, the News Herald, they have no interest. They don't care when they get scooped. Right now, they're probably on the phones with Mark Sheldon, who pays them. He won't tell us how much he pays them because he gets paid, remember, $735,000 a year to market Gulf Coast Jam. And so then he can call him up and say, hey, I need some help. That Bernie Thompson's telling the truth again. And a lot of people are starting to believe him. All right, so I'll be there in the morning. I can go home late, get up early, and I'll keep telling you the truth, and you'll know what I know. Now, I ran for office. I lost. Honestly, thank God. I was embarrassed I lost, but thank God. I'd much rather need to be doing this. But if I were up there, you know what? You would know what the government knows. When it's my turn, I'd say, I need to tell everybody something. These guys all talked about this already. We turned in, you would know everything. You want a public record request? Come to my office. We'll go get it together. That would be transparency. But instead, we have all of these lies. And what's insulting is they think they're slick. They think they're smart. Hey, by the way, part of the reason I know all these things is because many of you see public corruption. And if you do, let me know. I can't take on everything because I'm only one guy. Limited resources. Just trying to get by, trying to tell you the truth. But that's the email, Bernie@BernieThompson.com. And all tips are confidential. That's how I know stuff. Also, if you want to support my efforts, it means a lot to me. You can become a patron. That's one way. And that is every month. It's anonymous and it's easy and you can quit at any time. See how I pull the rug right out from under myself. But if you want to support my efforts, that's the way I do it. That and sponsorships. And it's not a business model that I would try. After all, I drive an old car. Yeah, I do. I drive an old car. And it is a Lincoln. And I'm not a lawyer, but I do play one in real life. Every time they sue me, I get to, find out more with subpoena power. All right, I got to get out of here. So thank you so much for being with me. Please let everybody know about this. This is big time story. And I'm going to read your comments in a little while. I'm so grateful that you're here. I can't believe how many of you have thankfully found this. I know people crave the truth, and I'm determined to give it to you.